But from 2020, we already started to put the system of our irrigation drops system. We started to put some anti-hail net system that you know. Okay. And from 2023, we already started to plant our first Riesling, our first Muscat, right? The Pinot Noir, and also, as you know, our autochthon varietals, Bosquiat and Valini.
Այս բոլոր սորտերը Պրոշյան համայնքի տարածքում եղած մեր այգում իրենց շատ լավ են զգում։ Այգին ծովի մակարդակից գտնվում է 1300-ից ավելի փոքր ավելի բարձր խաղաղորդության կարելի ասել վերին սահմանում, որտեղ բնակլիմայական պայմանները յուրահատուկ բավարարում են մեր այս սորտերի որակյալ բերքի ստացման համար։
That's nice. So, base. Basically the terroir. So, as you know, is like really very important to understand on which altitude to plant the varietals, right? Because you cannot plant in I don't know, in 2,000 or 2,500 meters of altitude, because it will not grow. And Prussia is like very high in its altitude, a slight higher than 1,300 meters, and it gives all the best bioclimatic conditions to grow and to gain the best quality possible in that region.
Hence Prussia համայն չէ որ մենք ունեցանք Pinot Noir-ը, պետք է Pinot Noir-ին համապատասխան շատ հոյակապ պայմաններ են, էքսպոզիցիան լանջի բնակլիմական մյուս պայմանները հատկապես ջերմաստիճանը խաղողի հասունացման ակտիվ ջերմաստիճանների գումարը։ Դա մի հասկացողություն է, որը բնորոշվում է բուսաճին անհրաժեշտ ջերմաստիճանի ստացից և գումարվում մինչև հասունացում 3500-3600 աշյան Ցելսիուս, որը բավարարվում է մեր խաղողի այգիների լիարժեք հասունացման համար։ Ալեքսկոսիցի ակտիվ ջերմաստիճանների գումարից, որտեղ այս բարձրության վրա ապահովում է։
So basically, it's very important also to understand which kind of yeah, this is Nori Edessa, but we will talk about this later. So basically, it's very important to understand how many sun days we have, and this is the exposure is like really perfect. So basically, the exposure is east-south, which is perfect to gain very long sunny days during the vegetative year. Sorry, west-south exposure. Yeah, and that's why it's giving one of the best like sunny days. Moreover, and it's creating perfect conditions for Pinot Noir to grow. And by the way, we are the first to produce wine from Pinot Noir. So.
Կարող եմ վստահորեն ասել, որ տեղական աբորիգեն այդպիսի տեղացի սորտեր ինչպես են արենին և ոսկիատը մեր տարածքում գերազանց են իրենց զգում, ինչպես նաև շատ արտասահմանյան մասնագետների հետ մենք այդ չափումները ամեն տեսակ մոնիտորինգը արել ենք և պարզվել է, որ ներկրված ֆրանսիական, գերմանական սորտերը նույնպես հոյակապ են իրենց զգում և դիմացք ունեն հիվանդություններին, վնասատուներին այդ տերուարի հետ կապված, քանի որ այնտեղ միկրոկլիման շատ նպաստավոր է, որպեսզի չլինեն հիվանդություններ, վնասատուներ և այդ ակտիվ ջերմաստիճանների մասին, որ խոսեցի, բոլոր սորտերը կարողանում են ֆիզիոլոգիական հասունացում և տեխնիկական հասունացում ունենալ։ Սկզբում տեխնիկական հասունացում, որը մեր գինեգործների պահանջով մենք ապահովում ենք կազմակերպելով ժամանակին ավել ողկույզների հեռացում,
I have to remember all this stuff, which I'm not. So basically, as already mentioned, besides the Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, we also are producing in Prussia many different international varietals like German and French ones. For example, German the Riesling, what I mentioned before, and the Chardonnay from the French varietals, and they are feeling themselves like really good in that region. And the conditions, the micro conditions, they create and make the technical points for the grapes to be as perfect, as mature, so that the winemakers can work on it really well. And the region is showing us perfectly what to do for the next year. So basically, we planted and we're really new in viticulture, right, and in winemaking in that region. And from the beginning, it was quite experimental to understand can the international varietals grow here in Armenia, and the answer was yes.
Շնորհակալություն։ Մի փոքր խոսենք այգու հիմնման մասին, հատկապես տնկիների մասին։ Տնկիները ներկրվել են Եվրոպայից, Գերմանիայից եւ Ֆրանսիայից ամենաբարձր որակի պրեմիում որակի ֆիլոքսերաբնացքում պատասխանատվների վրա պատվաստած ու յուրաքանչյուր տնկելուց մենք օգտագործել ենք բիոհումուս։ Կարծում եմ գիտեք ինչ բան է բիոհումուսը, այդ տնկման փոստիկների մեջ օրվակ ու կազմակերպության արտադրած բիոհումուսն է լցվել, որպեսզի հենց սկզբից տնկին կարողանա իր այդ ստարտը վերցնել, մեկնարկը։
So during the planting, it's really very important to understand how we're going to do it, right? How we're going to manage it, because it's one thing to understand and to know what the soil is telling, but also how to plant it. Like we used a biohumus for each plant, for each vine, and that really helped for the plantation to grow and like to grow the day that we have it right now.
Այդպես ունենալով հետագայում ջրավազաններ, կապիլային ռոռոկման ցանց, ենթակառուցվածքները ամբողջացնելով մեր այգիները Պրոշյան համայնքի տարածքում այսօր կարող ենք ասել, որ աշխարհի մակարդակով լավագույն ինտենսիվ այգիներից մեկն է։ Ես ունեմ համապատասխան փորձ 5-ից ավել անգամ եվրոպական երկրներում ինտենսիվ այգիներ ուսումնասիրել եմ։ Այնպես որ հպարտություն բառը չգիտեմ տեղին օգտագործել, բայց կարող ենք ձեզ բոլորի հրավիրել, ինքներդ կտեսնեք այգիներում ինչ որակի աշխատանքներ են կատարվում, որն է հետագայում բերում է բարձրարժեք, բարձրավորակ մեր գինիների արտադրությանը։
We are really proud from our vineyards because we created it from nothing to an integrated style of the viticulture. Everything is planned, everything is planted, and everything is put, like, as I said, integrated viticulture is when you put the drop irrigation system, right? And we are just proud, and we're inviting you all to our vineyard so that you can enjoy it. One of the best in the world, right? Colin's experience was around the world. He was visiting there in Germany, in Austria, and France as well. In Austria, Germany, France, he visited, and just like he's seen and learned the integrated viticulture and created it here.
Մի փոքր շարունակենք խոսել մեր մյուս տարածքի մասին, մյուս տերոարի մասին, որը գտնվում է Արագածոտնի մարզի Նորիեդեսիա գյուղում։ Ես մի փոքր բաց դողումս վերադառնամ Պրոշյանին, յուրահատուկ տերոարի առանձնահատկություն է նաև Արագած եւ Արայի լեռան ստորոտներում գտնվելը, հրաբխային ցակման այդ հողակտորների վրա գտնվելը։ Նորիեդեսիայում լրիվ Արագածի ստորոտում 1125 մետրի վրա տարածքներ ունենք, էլի էքսպոզիցիան դեպի հարավ-արևմուտք, այնտեղ էլ այդ թույլ թեքությունը ապահովում է վազերի լիարժեք լուսավորություն, նախալեռնային գոտում գտնվելով անընդհատ մեղմ, զով, քամիկ այնտեղ, որը նպաստում է, որ միկրոկլիման գերխոնավ չլինի, սնկային հիվանդությունները չբազմանան, որոշ վնասատուների համար նպաստավոր պայմաններ չստեղծվեն։
So basically, the second region what we have is Norrgedesia, which differ from from Prussian by the soil because it's volcanic already, and it's closer to Aragats and Ara mountains, and the exposure of the vineyard. Prussian is closer to Araler, to Ara mountain, and Norrgedesia to Aragats, of course, because it's in Aragats region. And Norrgedesia, the exposure, as I said, is already west-south exposure, so it's perfectly gaining all the sunny days, and in evenings, in summers, we have winds, so we don't have any problem with fungal diseases or insects, and the wine growing is going very smooth in that region.
Ընդհանուր առմամբ Ալեքսանդրիայի տարածքներում Նորրեդեսիայում եւ Պրոշյանում մենք աճեցնում ենք եւ գինի ենք ստանում 13 սորտի խաղողներից։ Խնդրում եմ տեսակ եւ սորտ հասկացողությունները տարբերել։ Տեսակը մեկն է, վիտիսվինեֆերա, սորտերը բազմաթիվ։ 13 սորտից 3-ը տեղական, տեղացին, աբորիգեն, կարող եմ ասել մեր սորտերն են, արելի, ոսկեհալ եւ խնդողնիկ։ Մյուսները ֆրանսիական, գերմանական սորտեր։ Մասնավորապես ես թվարկեցի Պրոշյանում, հիմա թվարկեմ Նորրեդեսիայում։ Մալբեկ, Մերլո, Սիրա, Պրիվարդո, Կաբերնե Սովինյոն, Կաբերնե Ֆրանս, այդ սորտերը հիմնականում բոլորն են վերջին տարիների մեր կատարածությունների համաձայն իրենց շատ լավ են զգում եւ շատ որակական բարձր որակական արտկանիշներով խաղի դեպք են տալիս։ Հիմա մի փոքր դուք տվեք ասում։
Yeah, thank you. So basically, in Norrgedesia, our plantations is like 20 hectares around, and we are planting mainly international varietals, right? As I already mentioned from all our Armenian autochthon varietals, we have Arenin, Voskehat in Prussia, and in Norrgedesia we have the Chandovnik coming from Malta. So basically, I've stopped, and yeah, the Chandovnik, which is growing also in Norrgedesia, plus, moreover, we have plenty international red varietals over there, like Malbec, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, we have Syrah, we have Petit Verdot. Yeah, and in total we have 13 varieties.
Նախանցածուրը մեր այգուց հողի նմուշը ենք վերցրել կտրվածքով, այստեղ իհարկե մենք չունենք այդ հնարավորությունը, որ մի մետր բարձրությամբ այդ ամբողջը տեղադրելի, յուրաքանչյուր շերտը կարելի ասել 40 սանտիմետր, ահորիզոն, որտեղ հիմնական ձևավորված արդեն հողաշերտն է, հումուսով հարուստ, բեհորիզոն եւ արդեն քարքարոտ բազալտի եւ տուֆի շերտերով 70 եւ 100 սանտիմետրի վրա շերտը, որը մեր այգին հինելուց յուրաքանչյուր շարքի համար ճապոնական հզոր տեխնիկայով կտրել ենք այդ շերտը եւ յուրաքանչյուր շարք տնկվել է ճեղքա ջայրի մեջ։
So basically, here you can see our soil, what we have in Prussia. So basically, as you can see, here is the soil, and it's like going deep down to the rocky and stony soil, right? Like this. And it's going deep 70 centimeters, yeah? More than 70 centimeters is going deep down, and it was literally impossible to cut without a Japanese very cool technique, which is like cutting the rock in it, and was planting the whole vineyard individually by hand.
Այդպես մեր այգիների տարածքը յուրահատուկ խնամքի հետևանքով նորից կրկնվեմ յուրահատուկ այստեղ slide show-ը չգիտեմ այդ գիներիս լուսանկարներ շատ քիչ կան, բայց նորից վստահորեն կարող եմ ասել մի բան ասեմ, դուք արդեն պատկերացրեք։ Երբ որ ինձ հրավիրեցին աշխատելու Alexandrea Winery-ին, մեծ ցանկություն չունեի, բայց երբ որ ես տեսա ինչ աշխատանք է կատարվել, ինչ այգիներ կա, ու չաշխատել այնտեղ հանցագործություն կլիներ։ Բոլոր աշխատողները նվիրված աշխատում են յուրաքանչյուր վազի հետ, մենք աշխատում ենք ու արդյունքը դուք կհամտեսեք այսօր մեր գինեգործների շնորհիվ։ Հաջորդը
So Karen, from the beginning, he was skeptical about to accept working in Alexandrea Winery or not. But since the day when he saw what kind of job has been done over there in vineyards, what kind of job Alexandrea Winery is doing for their wines and vines, he was fell in love. So we all are fell in love with Alexandria because the job and the experience that we're having here is enormous. Balancing, again, remember this, balancing the innovation and traditions. That's our idea. And for next speaker, we are inviting here our Jeff Ritchie, head of winemaker, Claps Please.
Շնորհակալ եմ բոլորիդ։
All right. I'm out. I'm not as good of a speaker as Alex, so bear with me if I get a little bit tongue-tied. My name's Jeff Ritchie. I'm a winemaker, professional winemaker.
Closer.
Closer? Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, just keep
All right.
Oh, cool.
It's not natural for me. I'm used to talking to barrels and tanks, not crowds. Like I said, my name is Jeff Ritchie. I think I get to do the fun stuff. I get to taste wine with you. So I think they're going to be handing out some Riesling here soon, right? Yeah, and Pinot, but we're going to do the Riesling first. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I got involved in this project. It turns out that this week, 9 years ago, was my first visit to Armenia. So it's been 9 years since I've been coming here, and that's when Adam founded Alexandria. I met Adam, I had my own winery, and he was working with my dad's wife, and we did a little tasting event for him, and he fell in love with the wines that I make, and he said, someday I'm going to make you my winemaker. And I said, whatever. And I saw an article in National Geographic about the cave, the IRCNA cave, where they've discovered the oldest evidence of winemaking. And so I emailed it to him and I said, no wonder you like wine so much, it's in your blood, ha ha ha, you know. And he said, funny thing, we're gonna hike past that this summer. And I said, tell me more, and I came along on that trip. That was 9 years ago. And I got convinced to be his winemaker. I didn't really know what his plans were at the time, and he started planting the vineyards. And in 2021, right in the middle of COVID, I get a phone call and he says, hey, can you come to Armenia? I have grapes coming in, I need you to make wine. And I'm going, Adam, it's the middle of COVID. And I agreed to do it, and we made our first vintage in 2021. As you know, it takes a little while for grapes and vineyards to mature, and you have to listen to what the vines are saying. You can't just, you can't have a Cabernet Sauvignon and say, make this a Bordeaux, right? You have to listen to what the grapes say. And so that's my job. My job is to walk the vineyard, notice the little terroirs. I'll show you a picture in a second. And figure out what's going on. And when I make the wine, I listen to it. Listen to what it says. If it's fruity, if it's earthy, if it's tannic, if it's not tannic, if it's acidic. And then from there, I can put some style on it. So we're developing our style. Alex, can you put the picture of the Chardonnay up? Chardonnay vineyard.
Chardonnay vineyard.
So for instance, So, for instance, this is the Procian vineyard, and up here is Chardonnay. And there's 3 different blocks of Chardonnay right here, and you can see it goes up a hill. And one of the things that we started doing is fermenting the different elevations of Chardonnay so that we can see what the differences are. And now, after 5 years, we figured out what it is and where the best grapes come from. And it turns out they're the ones right in the middle. And just like Burgundy, where you have the Côte d'Or, the highest stuff isn't the best, the lowest stuff isn't the best, the stuff in the middle is. And so that's what I've been doing over the last 5 years, is figuring this stuff out. Let's talk about the Riesling. Does everybody have the Riesling now? Okay. You might ask, why Riesling in Armenia? And one of the reasons is that Adam, the founder, he was a CEO of a company in Germany for 5 years. And while he was there, he fell in love with Riesling, and he saw this property in Procian and thought it would work. I was a little skeptical, I'll have to admit, but you're tasting it, and I think it's pretty darn good. What I can tell you about it, you get a lot of stone fruit, you get citrus, you get lime, even a little tropical, hints of the petroleum that you can get with Riesling from Germany. There's good acidity, there's good structure, and it pairs very well with food. I'm still learning that vineyard, right? It's been 5 years, and I'm still learning every year. And one of the things with winemaking that's challenging is you get one chance a year, right? When you decide to pick, that's it. You can't take that, if you make a mistake, you can't take the cluster back on the vine and ask for more time. So you have to make the right decision. That's the Riesling. Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me. I'm listening to the boss.
I'm yours.
The difference between what he's saying is the difference between Procian and Noriadesa. And I didn't think there would be much difference when I first started working with it. 2025, last harvest, was our first harvest off of Noriadesa. And so I spent time going back and forth between the 2 vineyards, sampling the grapes, tasting them, making sure that they're maturing properly. And I saw a definite difference. Procian's at about 1,300 meters. Noriadesa is 1,100 meters. There'll be up to 5 degrees Celsius difference in temperature between the 2 in the middle of the day. So it's much cooler in Procian, and that's why Riesling, Chardonnay, all the cooler weather, Burgundian varietals work better there. And in Noriadesa, it's warmer, it's not as windy, so the red varietals, the Bordeaux varietals, work better there. I'm getting cheered on, right? What else can I tell you? One of the fun things and one of the challenges of being a new winery is trying to figure out what your style is. And with 2025 in the Noriadesa vineyard, we made all the different wines, and I came here in March, and we blended 4 blends. So we have the 8 wines that you saw on the screen, but we have 4 more blends coming from Noriadesa. There's a Malbec, there's a Condoni on its own, or Syrah, the Bordeaux blend, and then also I'm very, very excited. We're calling it our reserve blend, but it's mostly Condoni, and it has some Malbec, and it has some Petit Verdot in it. And we were tasting it last night. It's going to be amazing. But as I've told you already, one of the challenges about being a winemaker is you have to wait, and you have to wait. And so it's going to be in barrel for 1 more year, and then we put it in bottle, and then we got to let it age for another 6 months. So in a year and a half, look for our reserve, and it'll be out. Should we taste the Pinot Noir? Does anybody have any questions? That helps me.
Maybe you can collect the feedback from Riesling and then...
Yeah. So how many people are, yeah, you got a question? I'm sorry? Yes. So, so he's asking me what I look for when I'm making wine and tasting the grapes, and there's all sorts of things. You're looking at how the flavors are developing. You're looking for the balance of the acidity, the sugar, flavors to show up. You know, most of my career has been in California. California is a very different terroir. I've been making wine for 31 years. And in California, the growing season is much longer, much milder. And here, with the altitude, you get a lot of sun, and it's very, very intense. And so you have to pay attention to what the sun is doing to the grapes. And so what I taste for is all those things that I was just telling you about. Like I said, I'm not a public speaker. But one of the things that happens when you get the wine, and one of the things you'll see with our wines, is that the terroir is speaking. It's speaking in the acidity. It's speaking with the flavors that come out. But then our style, we call it balanced. And what the balance is when the tannins and when the fruit, when the alcohol, when the sugars, when the flavors all are balanced, you actually feel the wine. So when you smell it and you taste it, you go, this is really good, but you don't really know why, because everything's balanced and you kind of feel it. And then when you smell it a little bit more, you taste it a little bit more, you realize there's so much complexity in it. And so these last 5 years, that's what we've been doing. We've been trying to figure out what that balance is. And I think you can see it in the Riesling, where the acidity, the fruit, there's not much residual sugar, so it's a pretty dry wine. But all the fruit come into balance, and it just creates one good flavor, one feeling. Are we ready with the Pinot?
What's your favorite wine
World or Alexandria?
Well, give us both.
She said the question is, what's my favorite wine? That's a hard one. Yes. Yeah. Well, of the Alexandria wines, and this is one of the things as a winemaker. You come into a place and you think you know what's going to go on. And when Adam told me he planted Muscat, I was like, oh God, why did you plant Muscat? It's my favorite wine. It's delicious. It's delicate. It's complex. It's beautiful. It's an amazing wine. And I wouldn't have told you that would be my favorite wine, but that's my favorite wine. All right, we have the Pinot Noir coming here. So as they mentioned with the vineyard portion, Adam also planted Pinot Noir. We have 3 blocks of it. And each one's very different.
That's your favorite
So
wine.
Lot 11, 12, and 13. And the 2024 vintage was our first vintage, and so I didn't know what we were going to get. It turns out that 13, the one up here, has all the structure. It's very dark, it's very dense, it's like the skeleton of the wine. 12, which is on the corner, it's more exposed to the sun, and it's a little bit steeper hill. And so you get a lot more ripeness. So you get the fruit and the berries and the kind of the flesh. So if 13 is the skeleton, 12 is the flesh, and then 11 is up there, it provides the earthiness. So if you want to put it provides the humanness, right? The BO, the earthy, the porous floor. So it kind of creates a whole wine. And it all just came together very beautifully. And we're really proud of the Pinot Noir. It's just going to keep getting better and better. Does everybody get some? Any questions or comments about the Pinot Noir now that you have it? We still need some up here. So one of the one of the other things that we're trying to do is have a marriage between Armenian varietals and European varietals. And right now, we have the white cuvee. We call it the white cuvee right now, and it's got Boscahat and Chardonnay in it, and no oak. It's just all about the fruit and how they dance with each other. The Boscahat and the Chardonnay. If you stop by our booth, which is right over here, you can taste the white cuvee. It's very delicious. And the muscat, that's my favorite. Okay, I'll keep talking about wine. So one of the other fun things that we did in 2024, 2025, and we'll continue, is we make a rosé from the Pinot Noir grapes. And when the grapes come in, we put it in a tank and we drain some of that juice off. It's called Signé. And it gets a beautiful, beautiful color. And we ferment it separately, and it's just a delightful wine for a warm day like this. So we have the Rosé Pinot and the Pinot Noir, so you can taste them side by side and see the similarities.
Over there.
Yeah, right over there. The other thing that we started doing is this is kind of the journey I'll describe to you. In 2023 was the first real good harvest that we had off the vineyard. And we made Chardonnay, and all we had at the time was barrels to ferment it in, so everything was barrel fermented. And we made a reserve Chardonnay that it was all the best barrels. It was meant to be intense and stylistic. And then we had the regular Chardonnay. Well, because they were all barrel fermented, they were a little bit too similar. So last year, when I was coming here, I stopped by Burgundy. I have a friend who makes wine in Mâcon, in southern Burgundy. And in southern Burgundy, they do tank ferments. It's all about the terroir. It's all about the fruit. And so when we blended the 2024 Chardonnays, we have the Reserve, which is the stylistic one, but we also have the regular Chardonnay that was mostly tank fermented. So it really emphasizes the terroir and the fruit, and it shows the potential that Armenia has to grow grapes and make wine. So there's that. We talked about Muscat.
Everybody already drank? Everybody tried the Pinot?
Everybody has the Pinot now? Yeah. How do you like it? It's Armenia's first Pinot Noir. And first Riesling for that matter, I think. Anything else? Any questions? It's much better if you ask questions. I'm not like I said.
And the Pinot should be considered as a reserve wine because it can be in barrels 10 months.
Yeah, the Pinot, one of the things coming from California, we use a lot of barrels in California, and there's not as many barrels in Armenia. And so we're, all of our red wines see barrels and age. And so the Pinot Noir was aged in barrel for 10 months. It has about 25% new French oak in it. So you get some of the vanilla, you get some of the spice, you get all that pure fruit that's in there. You get some of the earthiness, they call it forest floor, or sous-bois. So it's got a lot of the complexity. And for the first vintage off of a vineyard, it's pretty remarkable. You've probably heard before that when vineyards are planted, it takes 7-8 years before they start to normalize, and the first, second, third crops aren't necessarily the greatest. But this is the first crop off the vines, and it's remarkable. So we're really excited about the potential for Pinot Noir. He's asking if we use Armenian oak. We have used Armenian oak. It's really hard to source right now. So right now it's French and American, but we want to work with the coopers to do that, to bring the tradition here. And the war in Artsakh didn't help either.
Is it possible to come and tour the winery?
The question is it possible to come visit the winery? Right now we don't have a winery, but put the
Or the field? Maybe?
yeah, you can come out to the vineyard. So the vineyard, we're right in the middle of designing the winery, and it's going to go right here. And this is up on a hill, so it overlooks the Pinot Noir vineyard right to Mount Ararat. It's stunning. It's going to be amazing. We're in the design process right now. I don't know the exact process for construction in Armenia, but but I've helped design and build 3 wineries in California, so I know the process. And so it'll be, the answer is not yet.
Yeah, but eventually.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have an event center, do weddings, do restaurants, stuff, all that. Any other questions?
When you talk about balance, does each wine have a different set of balance you look for, or are they all the same kind of note that you want to get?
So he's asking about the balance. And you know, wine can be a little bit esoteric, right? What is balance? And to me, balance, like I described, is when all the components of the wine come together and they don't fight with each other. I'm sure you've tasted a really ripe Zinfandel or Cabernet where it's just jammy and too much and it just overwhelms you. So you have to find the balance for each wine, and part of that is understanding what the intensity of the wine is. I talked about coming from California, because the growing season is so long, you get a lot of concentration, so you can put a lot of oak or a lot of alcohol or whatever. In Armenia, because there's much more heat and it's a shorter growing season, you have to pay attention to the intensity of the wine. And so, to get back to your question about balance, if there's not a lot of intensity, you can't put a lot of oak, or you can't put a lot of acid, or you can't have a lot of alcohol. So finding that balance is what you have to do. The reserve blend that I was telling you about, that has so much intensity, it's amazing. And so I can put new oak on it, I can put more new oak on it, and all of that just lifts it up. And so even though it has 50% new oak on it right now, it doesn't taste like it, because it just lifts it up and it has so much concentration, and it's in balance. So does that make sense? Okay. Anything else? Oh, okay.
So basically not about this particular wine, but I would like to ask you as a winemaker, what is your biggest challenge?
There's a lot of challenges. I don't speak Armenian, so that makes it a little bit challenging. Here in Armenia, the wine industry is developing right now, and they're doing a wonderful job. If you taste the wines all over here, up and down, they're making great wines. The challenge is we're the nearest big wine producer is Italy to us, and so in California, there's 5,000 wineries. So if I need a tank, I can call somebody and it'll be there the next day. If we need a tank here, I have to find a producer. It has to be manufactured. It has to be shipped. It has to go through customs. So you really have to plan ahead, and you have to understand what your resources are. In California, we have lots of picking crews and labor. Here, trying to arrange picking can be a challenge. So there's a lot of logistics that I have to deal with. But we're figuring it out. Alex is great at figuring things out. So that's the biggest.
Okay. In Caucasian region, the weather can be a big challenge. How many sunny days that the grapes need for it to be ripened and good for the winemaking?
Yeah, so that's a tough one to answer because it depends on the region. Right? Here in Projan and Noriadesa, we still get a lot of sunny days, and the days are long, but they're very hot, and the sun's very hot. So we do get sugar, we do get the ripeness. The challenge, though, is trying to get the ripeness, the flavor intensity. And the longer the grapes can be on the vine, the more flavor you get. And once we reach October here, you never know what the weather's going to do, right? I mean, I've picked the day, the week before Thanksgiving in California. So you get a lot of hang time. Here, we're usually starting about end of August, and we're hoping to be done by mid-October. And so you never know what Mother Nature's going to throw at you. It could be hot in October, it could be snowing in October. You just don't know. And so you have to pay attention.
Like you have to adjust as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always paying attention. I pay attention to the weather way too much. I'm always looking, what's happening, especially during harvest, because if you see a rainstorm coming in, you might have to pick your grapes early, and you may not get all the flavor that you want, but you don't want them to rot on the vine because of the rain.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but guys, we are out of time. We can answer to any question possible over there. You know our corner, right? That's right. And since you can try all the wines right now, not only Riesling or Pinot Noir, you are all welcome. And last but not least, I have to ask you just leave the plastic cups here on your seats and come to enjoy our Alexandria wines. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll be able to. I can answer more questions over the week.